That was what?
No comment.
Thank you.
Mayor, we are now live.
Thank you very much, Ms Holmes. Really appreciate that. And welcome to the Hepburn Shire Ordinary Council meeting on 28th of May 2026. And I'd like to begin by acknowledging traditional owners upon the lands of where we meet today, the Dja Dja Wurrung, and pay my respects to elders past and present, and acknowledge their ongoing and enduring and deep connection to the beautiful lands and waters of our home here in Hepburn Shire. Welcome all. I'd like to declare the meeting open, and I would ask Councillor Hockey, would you please recite the commitment statement?
Yes. So we, the councillors of Hepburn Shire, declare that we will undertake on every occasion to carry out our duties in the best interests of the community, and that our conduct shall maintain the standards of the Code of Good Governance, so that we may faithfully represent and uphold the trust placed in this council by the people of Hepburn Shire.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Councillor Hockey, and welcome all councillors, Councillor Drowley, Councillor Hockey, Councillor Cornish, Councillor Hood, and welcome to Councillor Hewitt. Thank you so much for joining us from whatever lands in Japan, taking time out of your wonderful holiday to join us tonight. Thank you very much. And welcome officers. I won't go everyone because I'm trying to identify the faces, but that's okay. Welcome everybody. Do we have any other, no apologies from council, any other apologies, Mr. Thomas?
No.
No? Okay, thank you very much. Item number 4, any conflicts of interest, council's officers that we should go at the start of the meeting? No? Okay, thank you. Item number 5, the confirmation of the minutes. This is the meeting of the minutes of the meeting held on the 28th of April 2026. I'd like to put forward that they are a true and accurate reflection of the meeting held on that date. Would anyone like to put that motion forward?
Yes, please.
Thank you. Anyone like to, Councillor Hockey? Anyone second that motion? I'll second. Second. Okay, I'll put that for all those in favour.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you very much. Thank you, councillors. Item number 6, public participation time. Welcome all. Now we've got 6.1, which is petitions, but I believe we have no petitions.
No petitions.
No petitions. Thank you. Item 6.2, I believe we have one. So Mr. Thomas.
Yes, we do have Sarah Kelly to speak. She's not in the waiting room at the moment, going to be online. So I suggest we go to 6.3.
We can return back. Okay, no problem. All right. We will go to item 6.3, which we have public questions, and we do have a number that have been submitted and accepted. So we'll hand that to Mr. Thomas. Would you like to take us through? And I'd like to thank Councillor Cornish for reading out the responses.
Thank you. So questions 1 and 2 from Gary Lawrence. Question 1, council recently spent approximately $750,000 on repairs of the state government owned Hepburn Bathhouse from funds otherwise allocated to the care and maintenance of all the Mineral Springs reserves, while the current leasee of the Hepburn Bathhouse is in arrears to council of approximately $900,000. How is this a responsible management of ratepayer funds in line with budget responsibility of the council?
This matter is part of ongoing legal negotiations, and council is managing this situation very responsibly and with legal advice. While we can't go into any detail, I can confirm that council has facilitated the necessary repairs to enable the facility to reopen as quickly as possible. This has been done by agreeing to temporarily fund the cost of the repairs from the Mineral Springs Financial Reserve. The resolution of this remains part of legal negotiations. Under the terms of the current lease, rent remains payable and council has sought immediate payment of the rent arrears. It is also noted that the rent arrears has not impacted council's ability to fund projects to date.
Question 2, also from Mr. Lawrence, is what is the current approximate dollar value and risk to the council and ratepayers with the very significant compounding outstanding property rates and associated interest owed by many property owners across the Shire.
About 3.5 million in rates is outstanding from the 2024-25 financial year, which is not inconsistent across the local government sector. This poses minimal risk to council. Final reminders on outstanding rates will be issued in June of this year, 2026. To further reduce outstanding balances, council engages a third-party collection agency to reduce the value of outstanding rates. In respect to risk, rates are a debt levied upon the property and are recoverable when a property is sold if a ratepayer has not been able to meet their commitments.
Question 3 from Louise Johnson. What percentage of ratepayers have entered into agreed rate instalments outside of the normal quarterly or annual payment regime?
As at the 31st of March 2026, 212 ratepayers were on payment arrangements, which represents approximately 1.8% of rateable properties. Council is committed to working collaboratively with ratepayers to support them in meeting their rates and charges obligations. Ratepayers experiencing difficulty paying their rates on time are encouraged to contact Council's rates team to discuss available payment plans and individual hardship support options.
And question 4, also from Louise Johnson. What is the forecast income and expenditure for the end of the financial year by major categories?
Council's total income is forecast to be 44.6 million and total expenses 44.4 million. There are a range of timing related variances, but our 2025-26 financial performance remains materially on track to meet budget. If you would like more detail, refer to the comprehensive income statement on page 29 of the budget document.
Question 5 from Daniel McDermott. Could the council provide a detailed plan outlining the steps to complete the delayed capital works program for 25-26?
Council acknowledges and is disappointed with the delayed progress of many capital projects as set out in the third quarter of the financial report, which identifies total expenditure of 4.285 million. The current forecast expenditure to the end of June is 10.646 million. For projects that are not completed within the financial year, Council each year considers a report to approve remaining funds to be carried over into the subsequent financial year to enable the agreed project scope to be completed. There are a range of items that have impacted the delivery of some projects, ranging from the timing of grant funding announcements, design challenges, permit and other planning complexities, approvals and fuel and supply chain challenges. Council officers are working hard to deliver the 2025-26 capital program and continue to progress delivery in accordance with current budget allocations and acknowledge that some projects will continue into 2026-27.
Questions 6 and 7 are from Ian McBain. Question 6, the Essential Services Commission published the decision of May 2025 granting Hepburn Shire Council a rate variation for the 25-26 financial year, stating that Hepburn, in brackets, will still need to do further work to reach and maintain a financially sustainable position. Council's third quarter financial report states that there are no risk implications associated with the Shire's financial position. Can Council please explain how these two assessments are reconciled?
Council is actively managing its finances with discipline and careful stewardship. The risk subheading in the Council report means that there are no risk implications in bringing the report to Council for consideration. It refers specifically to the report, not to Council's overall financial position.
And question 7, and what specific work has been undertaken since the ESC decision to address the structural sustainability concerns identified by the ESC?
Since the ESC decision, Council has undertaken significant actions. These actions include adoption of a financially sustainable 10-year financial plan that aligns with Council's financial vision, adoption of key strategic documents following community consultation, the Council plan, revenue and rating plan and asset plan that align to Council's financial vision, Over 4 million over 2 years in permanent operational and service reductions, organisational restructure that reduces council staffing levels by 25% to respond to the council plan and financial vision, significant advocacy actions with all tiers of government, but particularly state government, to improve the financial security of the local government sector, and commenced and continue a range of service reviews. The draft budget to be considered later tonight continues a range of initiatives to continue the financial performance improvements and good governance, including an alternative revenue opportunities project, a review of council's depreciation rates, and a refresh of the adopted long-term financial plan for council's consideration.
Question 8 from Donna O'Mara. Outstanding lease rental payments for the Hepburn Bathhouse and Spa are just under $1 million. There are ongoing legal negotiations around forced closure due to council undertaking emergency works. I also understand that the closure was extended by the Bathhouse management for additional repairs. The business has been open for 7 months as of the 31st of March 2026. Why is there no substantial part payment of the rent while these legal negotiations are ongoing?
Council believes that the outstanding rent repayments are lawfully due and are not able to be linked to any other legal negotiations. Council has sought immediate payment of the outstanding rental arrears.
And question 9, the content and format of the quarterly financial reports keep changing. The Q3 report contains a detailed statement of cash flows, while the Q2 report only has high-level cash flow totals and also didn't include the special operating projects year to date. The lack of cash flow detail in the Q2 statement hid the fact there is a large underpayment of rent by the Hepburn Bathhouse and Spa. Why does the content keep changing?
There were data mapping issues with the cash flow statement for Q2, which were resolved for the Q3 report. The intention was certainly not to hide any information, and the Hepburn Bathhouse rent was included in the debtors section. The exclusion of the special operating projects was a genuine oversight by officers. In future, all of the reports will be consistent with full reports being included per the Q3 report. Hepburn Shire Council's approach of including the statement of cash flow and special operating projects year to date exceeds legislative requirements and reflects Council's ongoing commitment to transparency and community engagement.
Question 10 is from Linda Hancock. When is Council going to release its 5-year financial plan?
Council has an adopted 10-year financial plan and is not required to review the plan until October 2029. However, we do recognise, given our financial position, that it is fiscally responsible to bring the review forward, and Council will refresh the adopted long-term financial plan during 26-27. That will then be used to inform the preparation of the 27-28 budget.
Question 11 from Linda Hancock. When will Council reopen the much-used toilet change block at the swimming area of Lake Dalesford?
Council is not currently able to provide a date for the potential reopening of these facilities. Our first step is to consider how these facilities might be used, what services would be required, and the cost implications of this. Council is intending to work through this planning with funding in 26-27, which will then determine any future investment.
That's all the questions for tonight, Mayor, and unfortunately Sarah Kelly is not able to make it online, so we'll follow that up during the week.
Thank you. Thank you very much, and thank you to the community and those who submitted your questions. Obviously, you're very engaged in caring of our council and our community, so thank you all very much for that. We'll now move to item number 7, officer reports. So 7.1, we have our quarterly third quarter financial report for noting, and I'd just like to take a moment to welcome Justin Finlayson. It's your first council meeting, so welcome to the team. And we have a report for noting. Councillor Hockey, would you like to introduce this, please?
Certainly, Mayor.
Thank you.
This March 2026 quarterly finance report outlines the financial results for the 9 months ending 31st of March. along with a comparison to the amended budget adopted by council, inclusive of carry forwards from 24-25 to complete projects. It includes a summary of council's financial performance and position for the 25-26 financial year up until 31st of March, and an update on each special operating project and the capital program as at 31st of March. The financial position overall is materially on track to the amended budget. However, we are anticipating additional cost pressures, particularly in relation to fuel, legal expenses and insurances in the last quarter of this financial year. The delay in the delivery of the capital works program is also being closely monitored. The current financial position, of course, needs to be read in the context of council's financial plan contained within the 25-26 budget and the adopted financial vision.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hockey. So, councillors, we do have our officer recommendation in front of us. Council would like to put forward the recommendation or a motion so we can get the debate on the floor. Councillors?
Could we
Need a motion. So there's an officer, if you'd like to put, just need a councillor before the recommendation as a motion. Is Councillor Hood? His hands up. Yep, thank you, Councillor Hood, and would like to second that.
yes.
Thank you, Councillor Hockey.
Through there, just need to confirm with Councillor Hood that it's the officer's recommendation.
Sorry, Councillor Hood, is it the officer's recommendation you're putting forward?
Yes, it is.
Great, thank you very much, Councillor Hood, and you're obviously happy to second that, Councillor Hockey?
Yes.
All right, so we'll put on the floor. Councillor Hood, would you like to make any opening remarks before we go to questions?
Yes, I will make some remarks in support of the motion, which is to note the financial position. Although I would add that quite obviously we need to do more than just note the position. We need to act. But my observations are, councillors, that the report before us should be read in the context of this being the first year after the 10% rate variation. An overarching question would be, does this report indicate an improved financial outlook? And is council on the path to financial viability? The same questions could be put to the draft budget later in this meeting. The report's dominating message is one of delays and significant underspends to budget. Operating costs are $1 million or 9% below budget, while only $4.8 million of the $15.4 million CapEx program has been spent, including only a 30% spend on roads. That commitments we have made in the council plan and budget are not being delivered in a timely manner must be of significant concern. Notwithstanding such underspends and delays, the report discloses that cash reserves have fallen by $1.6 million since the start of the financial year. Closer examination reveals that cash reserves have actually fallen by $4.6 million for the 9 months, when accounting for the $3 million collected as the Essential Services and Volunteer Levy, which hadn't yet been forwarded to the state government by the 31st of March. That scenario is deeply troubling. The report discloses that $3.4 million is owed by ratepayers in unpaid rates. The age and composition of the debt is not reported. Despite ongoing activities, only 260 of the 8,200 residential ratepayers are under payment arrangements or the hardship policy. Over $500,000 is owed as unpaid interest charges. That cannot be described as minimal risk, as it was a few moments ago. The report also notes that $945,000 is owed as unpaid rent by a commercial customer. Following a $770,000 capital contribution by council, the apparent dispute remains unresolved. As concerning as these facts may be, the report's commentary also rings alarm bells. Councillors, I suggest that no comfort can be taken from the statement that, quote, the position is materially on track to the amended budget, end quote. Let's recall that the budget calls for a $4.5 million underlying deficit. The report also states, quote, that there are no risk implications associated with this report, end quote. I respectfully suggest that significant delays, failure to deliver promises in the budget and plan in a timely manner, increasing costs, multiple legal litigations, poor cash flow, a mountain of unpaid rates and unpaid interest charges should be deemed to be risks. If not, what would constitute a risk? The report goes on to boldly state, quote, that overall there are no material concerns of outstanding rates debts, end quote. From a ratepayer welfare perspective and an organisational cash flow perspective, how can that situation not be of concern?
30 seconds.
Councillor. Yep, thank you. Almost there. Councillors, there are disturbing, irreconcilable differences between the financial facts and the commentary in this report. If ratepayers and other stakeholders are to be confident that financial stewardship is on track to ensuring council sustainability, then getting all players on the same page would be a good start. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Hockey, would you like to speak?
Yes, just briefly. So obviously I commend the motion to councillors, but I too would like to draw attention to the capital works shortfall there. That's a considerable sum and points to the huge challenges for our shire and our organisation. Clearly are major forces preventing that work going ahead. So, and the challenges more broadly to the local government sector, clearly they are not failures of effort, failures of capacity. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much. All right, councillors, thank you very much, Councillor Hockey. I'll open up any questions. What's a clarification? No? All right. Okay. So you, Councillor Jolly?
We have questions or talking to the motion?
Question, or you can do both. But I'll ask the questions first, and then I'll ask if anyone wants to speak, against the motion or the motion.
The question then.
Yep.
There has been a lot of discussion about the shortfall, and we heard that through our question time as well, coming from community and relating it to requests for interest rates increase, which we received, and how there's a misalignment there in a sense that that Councillor Hood has referred to. I'm just wondering if officers could speak to that before we.
I'm sorry, can you clarify the question? You've made it.
There seems to be a misalignment in our request to receive a rate increase above the cap and our underspend on capital works and operational items. I'm just wondering why that is.
Is it time, Mr. Luke?
I'll get Mr. Lucas to talk around the capital works delivery, and then I'll respond to the linkage to the rate cap application.
Through the chair, thanks, Mr. CEO. There are a number of factors contributing to the slow delivery of our capital works program this year. It'd be fair to say that as an executive, as a senior leadership group across the organisation, we too are bitterly disappointed with where we are at, and we are doing a lot of work to analyse some of those influences and see how we can improve our rate of spend. If you look at the graph within the body of the report, it clearly shows that this is our lowest level of spend in the 5 years represented for Q3. And we remain concerned about the rate of spend that we have in the first 2 quarters of our program delivery. We're doing a range of things to try and improve that, including reviewing our project management framework, mandated gateways to make sure the projects are scoped and ready for delivery, or if you like, shovel ready on day one, rather than some of that work happening in the same years we're trying to deliver. There are a range of projects. Noting that this is a Q3, so end of March report, there are a number of significant projects that have been completed since this report, so completed through April and the early stages of May, totaling millions of dollars. I referred to the Central Springs Road project that's been completed. Kearses Road has been completed. We've got $1 million worth of grader and a major patching vehicle on order, which we expect to be delivered by June 30. So that the spend, as we said, is forecast to come up to around $10 million for June 30. We would like it to be much closer to the budgeted amount. And as I said, we're doing a lot of work to review that. And there's a range of implications or causes or contributing factors to those delays, which are outlined in the body of the report.
And just to add to that, and it certainly is a sector-wide challenge. The recent Victorian Auditor General's report commented as a sector in terms of deliverability and the way that budgets are put together. So something that we're continuing also to learn from our neighbouring councils. In short, to the second part of your question, there's no linkage between under delivery and capital works and the rate cap variation request. What I would say though is ultimately we needed the funds to continue to operate and do the capital works. So you're right in terms of, well, why did we apply for a rate cap variation and then not spend these works? We're committed to getting these works done, as we've indicated in the various reports. If they're not completed before the 30th of June, and it is just a date, we don't stop working on the 30th of June. Those projects are funded and are commitments to our community.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? No, so anyone council like to speak for or against? No? Okay, well then
I'll speak for the motion.
you'll speak for the motion. Thank you, Councillor Drell.
Look, I understand it's a very complex operating environment at the moment around all the things that you've mentioned around increases in fuel, the volatility of our environment, impacts, and the massive changes that we've been seeing organisationally as well, obviously have an impact on our operations and culture as a council. And I think that it has been incredibly topsy-turvy year in terms of what we've been expecting, and some doubt in that regard. And that I look forward to, a greater stability in the coming years, and that we do have the depth of a long-term financial plan that looks towards rebuilding our resilience as a council, and that I think we can have some comfort in that, notwithstanding that I think we do need to find ways to complete our commitments that we are putting forward with integrity where we can, but also to be accountable and explain the shortcomings when they come up. So I support this document as it is, and understanding the criticisms that are coming forward as being of genuine concern.
Okay. Any other councillors? If not, I'll put the motion forward. Since we've never speak against. So all those in favour of the motion, raise your hand.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you, councillors. All right, thank you very much. And thank you for your and officers, thank you for your report, and thank you for your work. As we do know, so it is a difficult environment to work at. It is a balancing act with lots of both internal and external influences. So thank you very much. Okay, 7.2, Glen Line Recreational Reserve Pavilion update. Councillor Cornish, if you're
Yes.
speaking to the subject, please.
The Glen Line Pavilion Renewal and Upgrade project is underway. It is part funded and delivery has been divided into stages. This report proposes a funding strategy to complete the project in coming years. The officers have been progressing the Glen Line Recreation Reserve Pavilion Upgrade project since 2023. This has included extensive community engagement, utilising a project advisory group model, analysing options for a new pavilion, and upgrading the existing pavilion. This option analysis includes assessing planning permit requirements, site constraints, and user needs.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cornish. So, councillors, we do have an officer's recommendation in front of us. Would someone like to put a motion forward, Councillor Cornish, as per the recommendation?
I'll read the recommendation,
Yep.
the motion,
Yep.
if that's okay.
Please.
That council adopts the funding strategy outlined in this report for the renewal and upgrade works, to be completed on the Glenryan Recreation Reserve Pavilion.
Thank you very much. I would like to second that motion, councillors. Thank you, councillor Dryling. Councillor Cornish, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, I will speak to it. I'm very happy to see this strategy here. And of course, it honours council's recommendation back in September of 2025. We just had one more dot point, which is dot point 4, to realise, and that was to develop a funding strategy. So I'm happy to see that here. The funding strategy is not entirely ideal for the project group and Glenlyon residents, and for me as well as being heavily involved in this project with the residents, as other councillors have been as well. But it gives us a way forward. We are confident that the 500,000 that the federal government has granted to council will come through, so that will then go towards hopefully the first stage of the project, which I understand to be possibly a kitchen and an accessible toilet as well. Now, apart from that, we have other options. It's in the report here. The funding strategies there. We cannot at this stage secure capital works funding for the project, but again, that is also dependent on a major contributor being the bathhouse. So that bathhouse needs to be resolved sooner rather than later. And I think all of council understands that and it would probably agree. So I'm very happy to see a funding strategy here. We're not, as a council, committing funds, ratepayer funds at this stage, because we actually can't do that. We cannot commit to new major projects right now. And I understand that, and our community understands. But we have committed to reserve funds, and we also have another grant co-contribution fund that we could probably use as well. So with the grant co-contribution fund and with any external funding being state government funding, I believe council will need to find matching funds so that we can attract a grant, a further grant. So hopefully in the next 2 years, we'll see the future scopes being realised 100% and we'll have the whole thing done. But we're open at the moment as a council to negotiate with external agencies to have a look at our reserve funds and to progress this project as a priority. So I'm very happy to see that council's recommendation back in September has been realised in its entirety at the moment, and I seek the support of councillors.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dryling, would you like to speak?
Yeah, just briefly, support Councillor Cornish's comments. I think that this has been an interesting journey for this project, and I too would like to acknowledge the work of previous council, and particularly a couple of councillors who have gone to some length to listen to the community on this and to be adaptable, and officers too around the scope of this project, and that we have listened to community on this, and it's brought it back within a reasonable sort of frame that we can actually look at ways we can fund this project in our tight financial constraints. And it's I think that, you know, we're not there yet, but how we actually fund these projects are a major barrier, and we do have an amazing resource in the Mineral Springs Reserve that I think we can, you know, all things going well in the near future, we can use it for appropriate other uses than the specific reserve that it's traditionally been used for. We do need to be continuing beyond just renewal, and even less than that. We do need to be looking to how we can build strength in our communities, and our Glenlyon communities are diverse and they don't always agree, but I think it's a testament to people being able to work together and to progress this project in the way that it has.
Right, thank you. All right, so I'll open any council, any questions or points of clarification? Councillor Hewitt.
Oh, sorry, thought I was putting up my hand to speak for the motion.
But well, I'll just quick, any questions? I think it's straightforward. So, councillor, question?
Yes, yeah, thank you, Mayor. Just a point of clarification. The proposal before us is only to progress with construction of stage 1, which the federal government funding of $500,000 is described as secured. Have I got that right?
Yes.
Thank you.
So thank you very much. No other questions. Councillor Hewitt, would you like to speak for the motion?
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Cornish and Councillor Dryly, for your comments. I'm pleased to support this motion and to see the progression to of stage 1 with the Commonwealth federal government funding, which did come a couple of elections ago. It has been a journey, and it has engaged the community, and we're confident that what's being proposed is what the Glen Lyon community want. And so, as Councillor Dryly says, that's an important stage. I would be happy to see, as Councillor Cornish indicated, the work on the kitchen and certainly work on the accessible toilets, because that's something that's sorely needed in that facility. So I'm happy to support this motion.
Thank you very much. Would anyone else like to speak for or against the motion?
Yes,
Councillor Hocking.
I'd just like to briefly commend Councillor Cornish for her involvement in this. And I note that I really love the agile, I think Malcolm Turnbull used to use the word agile, the agile approach to finding funding for this. I think it's terrific and reflects an agile organisation.
Thank you. Anyone else? All right, so if there's no one against, so with that, I will put the motion. Was there anything else you wish to?
I'll close.
Very quickly.
Yeah, there's no, it's right.
There's no one spoken against the motion. So there's no rebuttal.
Last word.
Last word.
Quick, very last word.
Oh, I'm just very happy to see it here. That's all. And there's clarity now for the Glen Lyon residents and other users.
Great. Okay, thank you very much. We'll put that, council, put that to the floor. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Passed unanimously.
Passed unanimously. Thank you all, councillors. I really appreciate that. Okay, now we'll move on to item 7.3, which is endorsement of the draft budget for public exhibition. So this is the draft. Just want to make that quite clear. And this is for our 2026-2027 budget. So I will take an opportunity to introduce this. And I think as we present this draft budget for endorsement to go to public participation, I think it's really, really important that we actually acknowledge the environment that we're actually working in at the moment. Yeah, it's important to acknowledge that we have rising cost prices, inflationary pressures, legal expenses, geopolitical impacts. And they're placing additional strain not only on our sector but right across all government sectors. And I think while we remain financially sound, we need to also acknowledge there is no room for complacency. We need to continue to operate within our means to ensure our long-term financial sustainability. And I think it's important to acknowledge that Hepburn over the last 3 or 4 years has actually done a lot in this space around financial sustainability. But it's also really important to acknowledge that while there is so much that we can do as a council, we need federal and state governments as well to come to the party. The cost shifting needs to be addressed. The funding model needs to be addressed, because while we might be sustainable in the short term, in the medium to long term, there are significant challenges for us and the entire sector. And I think it's important this budget, we do look to continue to deliver our services to our budget, and we do have some new initiatives. And within the budget, a couple of points to note: it contains $41 million to deliver services and capital programs, and it's been developed by a lot of work from councillors. And I do want to thank councillors for all their time and effort that they have put into this. It has been significant over the last 8+ weeks. and officers as well. There's a significant amount of work, and Bradley and everybody else who has put significant work on it. Thank you for that. And I also think it's an important part. It's important to note that this does meet and exceeds our legislative requirements in terms of this space. And I think after significant changes in the over the 24 and 25 and 26, with, as was outlined in some of the questions today around reductions to both to budget, services, staffing, there are some things worthy of note. These include $10.5 million worth of capital programs across our assets. It focuses on improving some fundamental service areas, which includes community engagement, customer service, and undertaking a long-term review of our financial sustainability now that we're at the halfway mark, which is absolutely appropriate, and I think and prudent, even though we don't have to. We're also very mindful of the cost of living impacts the current situation with our community and our ratepayers. We've been able to reduce our waste charges by around $70 for each home, and that's been as a result of good waste management programs and processes, and of course the community participation in that space. We would welcome community feedback and participation in this process to respond and to the budget that we're putting out for comment, because I think it does reflect a careful and responsible way of maintaining financial and fiscal responsibility in a challenging area that is increasing in its costs. We have an officer's recommendation put forward, and I might ask Mr. Finlayson, would you like to read that out, please?
Premier Clark, that council acknowledges the challenging financial environment confronting councils across Victoria in the preparation of 2026-2027 budgets and the impact upon the long-term financial sustainability of Hepburn Shire. 2, endorses the release of the draft 2026-2027 annual budget as required under sections 94 and 96 of the Local Government Act 2020. 3, authorises the Chief Executive Officer to effect any minor administrative changes which may be required to the draft 2026-2027 annual budget while public consultation is occurring. 4, notes that the draft budget and budget development process is compliant with relevant legislation. 5, invites submissions on the draft 2026-2027 annual budget via Council's Participate Hepburn site, including the option to present at a consultation meeting to be held in the Council Chamber, 24 Vincent Street, Daylesford, at 6 p.m. on Wednesday, 24 June 2026. 6, subject to changes after the consideration of all submissions, the 2026-2027 annual budget will be presented for adoption as Council's budget for the 2026-2027 year in accordance with Section 94 of the Local Government Act 2020 at a special meeting of Council on Tuesday, 30 June 2026. 7, notes that Council will undertake quarterly financial reporting and a mid-year budget review. 8, endorses the schedule of fees as contained in the draft 2026-2027 annual budget to commence from the 1st of July 2026. And 9, will continue its strong advocacy to state and federal government to ensure reform enable the long-term financial sustainability of the local government sector.
Thank you very much. Councillors, so we have a recommendation in front of us. Would somebody like to put that forward? Councillor, she'll put as written?
As read, yes.
As read, thank you. Would anyone like to second that motion? Want to second the motion, Councillor?
I'm happy to, yes.
Councillor Hockey, thank you. All right, so we have that on the floor. Councillor Cornish, would you like to speak?
Thank you, Mayor Clark. Tonight we have before us a draft budget. And we're offering this draft budget to our community for comment. An important step in balancing financial responsibility with the needs and expectations of our communities across Hepburn Shire is to actually have this budget go out for community consultation and also give our community the opportunity to submit their views, their ideas or concerns. The draft budget reflects the ongoing challenges facing regional councils, and not just this council. Regional councils are struggling generally. There's rising construction and insurance costs, increasing demand on services, ageing infrastructure, and the constraints of rate capping. In that environment, the budget focuses strongly on financial sustainability while continuing to deliver essential services and infrastructure renewal. A key priority in this budget is investment in core assets, particularly roads, drainage, public buildings, parks and recreation facilities. The budget also continues strategic planning work through Future Hepburn and other long-term projects that will help guide growth, transport, housing and environmental outcomes across our shire. Importantly, the draft budget recognises that many major projects rely on external state and federal funding partnerships, and that council must continue advocating strongly for those opportunities. And I know for a fact our mayor and our CEO and our officers often email councillors with how heavy they are working and how hard they're working on advocating. And we do need the support of our state and federal colleagues. As always, there will be differing views within our community about priorities and spending allocations. That is why the consultation process is so important. This draft budget is an opportunity for residents, community groups and stakeholders to review the proposals, provide feedback and help shape the final document. I encourage the community to engage constructively in that process as we work towards a financially responsible budget that supports both current needs and a long-term future of Hepburn Shire. I'm not going to go into all of the details of the budget, the pros, the cons, the possible inconsistencies. It's over a 100-page document we're putting out to our community. It's a large document. I would prefer to wait for our community, our people to come to us
30 seconds.
and tell us exactly what they're thinking so that council consider it in their deliberations. So I put this draft budget to councillors and to the community for your feedback. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cornish. Councillor Huckey.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. So on similar lines, I just acknowledge it's a comprehensive document. I commend it to the public to pick over and delve into and also take ownership of. The Shire's challenges belong to all of us. And I encourage residents to engage with and get back to us, especially if you haven't made contact before. There's only a handful of viewers online tonight and just a couple of people in the gallery, but I'm sure there'll be more who review the meeting in coming days. And yeah, do reach out and make contact. Sometimes it can seem like we are so busy that we don't want to hear from you, but in fact, we'd love to get your emails, your contact.
Yeah, we do.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor. So, Councillor, I propose any questions and clarifications, and then I'll ask the person to speak for or against the motion. So, any questions or clarifications, councillors? No? No? Okay. Well, will anyone like to speak for or against the motion? Hood. Councillor Hood?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillors, I'll make it clear that I think of the motion that's before us, point number 2 is the most important, and that is that we endorse the release of this draft budget for consultation, and I certainly support that particular element of the motion before us. But councillors, it's important to consider the budget's historical context. This draft budget has been prepared with the backdrop of an ambitious and expansive capital works program costing $80 million over the past 7 years. Over that period, cash reserves have declined by $10 million and an additional $16 million of new borrowings have been taken out. The budget's projections indicate quite clearly that such investment in capital works cannot continue. Throughout the 2024 planning work, 5 conclusions were reached. 1, that there would be no cash to construct new assets. 2, there would be no cash to make co-contributions to grants. 3, there would be no surplus cash to fund disaster recovery works. 4, there would need to be cuts to services. 5, that a 10% rate variation was needed. That work also identified the need for advocacy to the state government to address matters outside council's control, and the Essential Services Commission called for more changes when they approved the rate variation. These factors, each in their own right, place serious questions against council's viability. With only 12,000 ratepayers spread across multiple population centres, these factors combine to present an extremely challenging position. This budget reveals a fresh challenge that again points to risk and unsustainability in the long run. Put simply, the cash projections now indicate that the amount of cash available for renewal capital works on the existing assets cannot keep pace with depreciation. There will be a gap between council's capacity to undertake renewal works and the rate of deterioration of those assets. That scenario poses risk and it raises questions on the ability to provide services through those assets. The most important asset category, in my view, being roads. As a consequence, other assets may not be replaced when they inevitably fail. For example, swimming pools. This draft budget should be released tonight. The sooner that genuine consultation and informed discussion takes place, the better. Others will decide whether the draft budget has been prepared in accordance with council's community engagement policy and whether the proposed fees and charges have been constructed in accordance with policy. There are some doubts. As stated earlier, there are again irreconcilable differences between the financial outlook as presented in the statements and the notes and the associated commentary. Whether this budget sets council on the path to financial sustainability remains to be seen, but genuine consultation and acknowledgement of the challenges before us would be a good starting point. I too encourage ratepayers and residents to constructively engage in the consultation process in the coming weeks. I'm mindful that much of tonight's debate would be lost on ratepayers as the draft budget has been embargoed. Please reach out to your elected representatives so that you are properly informed. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hood. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion?
Yeah.
Or speak against? So,
I'll speak.
Councillor Drop.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'll be supporting this draft budget tonight as well, and I just want to acknowledge the work that's gone into preparing it by officers and community, our councillors and others. Also encourage our community to give their own robust feedback and acknowledge the need for genuine consultation and ownership of this document. Look, there's clearly an attempt to add a disciplined and financially cautious document. We see a modest surplus, controlled expenditure and a focus on maintaining core services in a very constrained environment, as others have said, and that fiscal discipline matters in a difficult operating world. I do want to speak to a broader question. Is this budget responding to the full set of challenges our community is facing, and are we confident we can deliver what we are proposing? Firstly, I want to speak to delivery, as I mentioned before, because the Capital Works program is where our priorities become real. And this year, the program reduces from 16 million to 10.5, and the budget makes it clear that carry forward projects are not included. This is significant because it means we are likely entering the next financial year with a substantial backlog of projects that have not been delivered. And those projects don't just disappear, they roll forward and stack up. The question for us as a council is this: are we budgeting for outcomes that we don't currently have the capacity to deliver? Because when delivery lags, projects are delayed, pressure builds on future programs and flexibility is reduced. It also affects how we understand our financial position. Unspent capital can make things stronger than they are, when in reality it reflects delayed delivery and not completed outcomes. At the same time, our financial buffer remains tight, and we're forecasting around 700,000 in unrestricted cash, which is a modest margin in the context of increasing costs, whether that's climate impacts, fire risk, infrastructure stress or broader economic pressure. And when we look at those risks more broadly, that's where I think the budget has some clear gaps. We know our community is facing increasing climate impacts, very real bushfire, flood and storm risk, housing shortages and ongoing cost of living pressure. The budget acknowledges some of these challenges, but largely at a strategic level. We're still primarily investing in maintaining existing systems rather than systematically shifting towards resilience, adaptation and stronger responses to social pressure and inequalities. At a certain level, these issues are beyond our capacity and points to our ongoing need to advocate to other levels of government supports we desperately need. Also too, want to briefly touch on fees and charges, particularly the use of community facilities. At a time when people in our community are under real cost of living pressure, we're seeing increases in fees associated with accessing spaces like town halls, community buildings and shared kitchens. And that has a real world impact. The spaces are not just venues, they're where local groups meet, volunteers operate, emergency food and support services are delivered, and people support each other through difficult times. So when fees increase, the impact is not felt evenly. It falls heavily on small community groups, volunteer organisations and those supporting people already doing it tough. And that raises a significant question of fairness. So but at exactly the time when we need these spaces to be more accessible and strengthening community resilience, they're becoming harder to use through this document tonight.
Thank you. It's time. Councillor Drylie. Yep. Thank you very much. Councillor Hewitt, would you like to speak for or against?
Thank you, Mayor. I would like to speak in support of the motion. Listening, first of all, I would like to thank both my councillor colleagues and the officers who put this draft budget together. Listening at a distance to the discussion, I think any community members who are listening would well understand the challenges that we're facing, some of which Hepburn, as the Mayor's already indicated, are able to deal with, but many are beyond our control. The response I note to Mr. Ian McBean's question showed that in the last 12 months, we've reduced the staff numbers by 25%. Just like Councillor Drylie talking about real world impacts, that has a real world impact on the services that we can deliver. And I'm sitting here thinking about some of the pressures that officers are often under from members of the community who don't fully understand what a reduction in 25% of staff numbers mean. I'm only pointing this out because I think it's one of the things that we have done effectively to try and be responsible stewards of ratepayers' money. Councillor Hood raises some very valid points about the long-term sustainability and viability of the Shire that do need to be considered in the next couple of years. The Mayor also, and Councillor Drylie and Councillor Cornish, in fact, everybody have raised issues about the importance that we can't do this on our own, that state and federal government have some responsibility as well. And Councillor Hockey, in his plea to the community to actually contribute in this consultation process, would all be comments that I would endorse in supporting the release of this budget, draft budget. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hewitt. Everyone's been able to speak. I just will offer, would you just like to do a quick summary?
Just quickly, thank you. Oh, look, I do challenge the notion of the draft budget being ambitious, being an ambitious capital works program. I don't see that. I think in past years that was more than ambitious, but not this particular budget. I see it as realistic capital works program with no major projects. And also it's a program focused, draft budget focused on renewal. I see renewal being the focus in the next couple of budgets as well. I can't see this council being able to commit to any major project anytime soon. In saying that, we're in repair mode. We have external factors that are affecting our ability to deliver projects that are according to our community's expectations. And I think there may be some disappointment because we actually can't deliver major projects right now. But it is in renewal mode. We're in recovery mode. We're doing very well that way. The budget is balanced. It's not going to show, I don't believe it's going to show in the next couple of years anything major. And we need just to get on our own 2 feet, and we're certainly travelling in the right direction. That's my view. So I welcome the community's view as well. And hopefully we'll get some people coming in person and submitting to us, councillors. And we'd be very welcoming of you all. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, with that, councillors, I will put the motion to the floor. Are those in favour, raise your hand.
Councillor Hewitt, Dryly, Hockey, Cornish and Clark.
All those against?
Councillor Hood appears to abstain.
Okay, no worries. All right. And look, just to finish up, I would actually like to extend a real thank you to the officers. I think it is really important to note, and as I think was pointed out by Councillor Hewitt, in Mr McBean's response, so there has been a kind of there's been major internal changes, and that is a difficult process. And I think everyone's to be commended for your commitment and attention to detail. I understand nothing is perfect in this world, but that hasn't been through lack of commitment or attention. So thank you all very much. I really do appreciate. We're looking forward to the community actually getting involved, and certainly a number of us are going to be attending various. We've been invited to various meetings. So thank you very much.
Through you, Mayor, two things. Thank you for those comments.
Yeah.
Just a little bit unusual, but the speakers that we did have from earlier at 9.1 are now online. If the chair was of
The speaker is 6.2.
6.2, sorry, yeah, the speakers from earlier.
Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah.
They're now online. If you're happy, we could go, and the chair is willing, we could hear them now.
I think that would be great. There's a 3-minute limit, so I think unless anyone cancels it, so yeah, happy to allow that.
Just give me the question numbers if you don't mind.
Oh, there's not. No, it's
It's online?
Yeah, it's speaking. Six.
Thanks.
2 seconds.
Yeah. Is that working?
I'll try to admit and I've lost them.
Not there currently, Mayor.
They may
Have
have
dropped
departed,
out.
given that they haven't.
Okay. All right. If they come back, let us know. But yeah, we'll just we'll go into item 7.4. This is the adoption of the Creswick Flood Mitigation Study. Councillors, Councillor Dryly, would you like to introduce the subject, please?
Certainly, Mayor. The 2026 Creswick Flood Mitigation Study recently concluded following detailed modelling and stakeholder engagement, including previous briefings of council, and is recommended for adoption. The updated study builds on earlier work from 2012 by expanding the study area, applying updated modelling, incorporating climate change considerations, and aligning findings with recent flood events. It also assesses additional risks from stormwater and overland floods. The study provides a clear evidence base to guide future flood mitigation works, emergency planning and potential planning scheme updates. Implementation of recommended projects will require significant external funding. The officer's recommendation is that Council adopts the 2026 Creswick Flood Mitigation Study as attached to this report. 2, thanks the Creswick community and project stakeholders acknowledging their invaluable input into the study. 3, directs officers to pursue funding initiatives to implement the prioritised mitigation projects. And 4, makes the report available to the public via Council's website.
Thank you very much, Councillor Dryly. So, Councillor, do we have anyone like to put a motion forward? Councillors?
I'll support the motion.
Thank you. Put forward the motion. Thank you, Councillor Dryly. Anyone like to second that?
Recommendation?
As per the officer's recommendation, yes, thank
I'll
you.
second that.
Okay, and thank you, Councillor Cornish. So, Councillor Dryly, would you like to speak to the motion?
Certainly, Mayor. Look, I want to acknowledge the people in our community who've lived through the recent floods that this report reflects on. That more than 50 homes were impacted in 2022 and families were displaced, in some cases for several months or even a couple of years. And look, that doesn't end when the water goes down. People are still living with the financial stress, the disruption and the trauma of these events. And so this is not a theoretical discussion. It's something people in our community are still living with daily and feeling the effects. what this report makes very clear is that it's not just a flood issue, it is a climate change issue already impacting Creswick, and it's getting worse. This report predicts that by 2100 we're looking at more than 50 to 60% increases in peak flood flows compared to what this town was built for, and this is a fundamentally different level of risk. And we've already had a preview of that future in 2022. It wasn't just the creek, it was an intense rainfall overwhelming stormwater systems. And that is exactly what climate change is driving: more intense storms, faster runoff and more damaging floods. This report tells us where the risk is playing out, and that's along areas like Clunes Road, Nuggety Gully, Caddy Drive and North Parade. And these are not future scenarios. These are communities already hit and still exposed. So the uncomfortable truth is our infrastructure is not built for the climate we're now living in. We have systems at capacity, drainage that can't cope, and areas relying on pumping just to stay dry, and that's not sustainable. But thankfully, this report gives us a clear pathway. It tells us where investment will make the biggest difference: stormwater upgrades, retarding basins, targeted mitigation that actually reduces flood levels. And so if we're adopting this report tonight, we need to absolutely clear about what that means. It means we cannot just note it. We have to fund it. We have to prioritise these works in our capital programs. We have to advocate aggressively for state and federal funding, and we have to be honest about the cost, because the cost of not acting will be much higher. Because once we adopt this, we can't say we didn't know.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Councillor Dryling. Councillor Cornish, you have to speak to the motion.
Well, this is, I support what Councillor Dryling has just stated. There's not much more to add, except this is a very extensive report. There's pages and pages of it. The flood mitigation works are much needed and been called for a very long time. But I just hope that if it's staged, that we're not going to be creating another problem in another pocket of Creswick. So I think we've got to be very careful, or the contractor or whoever does the work, very careful that it's spread across in a very sensible, mindful way, because we don't want to create another problem. It's very much welcome, I'm sure, in Creswick, as it will be with other mitigation works in other parts of the Shire. We do have a flooding problem, there's no doubt. So I do support the report. I support the recommendation.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cornish. So I'll open up for questions or clarifications, and then for anyone else to speak for or against the motion. Any clarification or questions, councillors?
Brian.
Councillor Hood.
Thanks, Tony. Just a clarification, the report indicates that the full scope of works will cost somewhere between $6 and $8 million. And there's a reference to requiring external funding. Is it the case that council will require the external funding to be at 100%, or will council be in a position to make a contribution to those works?
Mr. Lucas.
Thank you, Councillor, for the question through the chair. Council officers will explore all funding opportunities, and definitely those where 100% of grant funding is available. That has been the basis in which we've been able to deliver many of the projects. However, if there is a funding opportunity available that is less than 100%, i.e. requiring a council contribution of some form, we won't discount that opportunity. We'll certainly consider it, and we'll do that in alignment with current budget allocations and discussions with councillors. I might also just take the opportunity to respond to a comment made by Councillor Cornish with regards to the implications of doing one mitigation work and the potential impact on other locations, and just advise councillors that there has been sensitivity testing and modelling of the various scenarios to avoid or minimise that actually occurring.
Good. Thank you very much. Thank you. Any other questions, councillors? Councillor Hood, any other questions?
Can I just ask one?
Yes, Councillor Cornish.
Yeah. To Mr. Lucas, if we're minimising what I spoke about the possible implications of issues with the works, how has a study been done as to how to stage this to mitigate these problems, or what direction has this work gone in?
Through the chair, councillors, the mitigation report recommends various mitigation treatments across 6 different locations, and each of those locations can be treated independently, and therefore the works can be staged across the multiple sites without having any detrimental impact on other locations. So it can be staged according to funding opportunities.
Thank you. Good. All right, councillors, another questions? Anyone else would like to speak for or against the motion? No? All right, well then I will, unless there are any final comments, Councillor Drowley? We'll put the motion on the floor.
Only to commend it to readers. It's a terrific document to read, just to give you insights into the challenges.
All right, thank you. Okay.
And just to reiterate Councillor Cornish's comments that this is incredibly well researched and highly detailed report that has, and as Mr. Lucas has also represented, models various scenarios and benefits in terms of the different mitigation measures, and I commend the work that's been done.
Thank you. With that, councillors, I'll put the motion to the floor. All those in favour, please raise your hand.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you, councillors, and thank you, officers, for this pass on, Mr. Lucas. Great job. You're really well done. Thank you. So 7.5, the Algerian Oak Planning Scheme amendment. Councillor Hockey, would you like to introduce the item, please?
Sure, Mayor. It's such an interesting topic and item. This report presents the findings of the Algerian Oak Bullarook Creek Streamside Reserve Heritage Citation and recommended controls to protect the tree. The citation provides the reasons for applying a heritage overlay to the tree by the Hepburn Planning Scheme. The citation was commissioned by council officers from a respected and locally operating heritage advisor. It addresses the tree's intrinsic and social heritage values. The tree is on a Crown Reserve managed by Parks Victoria. Despite this, the Minister for Planning will be asked by AusNet, the proponent of the Western Renewables Link project, to set aside existing local planning controls in favour of facilitating the transmission line construction. Officers recommend Council seeks the Minister's permission to apply the heritage overlay. The vegetation protection overlay is the other planning scheme option for requiring specific vegetation protection. Officers recommend the heritage overlay due to the genuine heritage significance of the tree and that overlays limited exemptions from permit requirements compared to the vegetation protection overlay. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Now we do have a recommendation in front. Is that on the screen? We do. Okay, so I believe there's been an extra point added from the published agenda. Is that correct?
There is, if a councillor wishes to move the officer's recommendation with the additional point. The additional point is included at point 3 and highlighted. If there's a councillor wishing to move that.
Okay, would council, would you have someone who'd like to put forward that motion? The recommendation as a motion.
If the change there is
Changes in, you say it's highlighted?
Yeah.
Item 3, yeah.
Yellow.
Or did you say you put that forward? Oh, no, you said yellow.
Didn't say yellow.
So councillor, do you want to put this motion forward? Or a different motion?
Can we just have an explanation of those changes that were made, the highlighting changes? Is that possible?
So point 3 highlighted is request the Minister for Planning to consider this proposed amendment, A, on its own merits, separate from any decision making on the proposed Western Renewable Link transmission line project, and B, before deciding on the proposed Western Renewable Link transmission line project. And the context to that would be in addition to the officer's recommendation, making it clear to the Minister that we want this item considered on its own merits. But obviously there's some sensitivities in making sure that this is considered, at least before any result around the current EES process in relation to the Western Renewables Link. But it's the council is to determine.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm happy to move the motion.
The motion as prepared by offer.
Yes.
Thank you. Anyone would like to second that motion?
I'm happy to, Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Hewitt. So I'll declare that as a live motion now. Councillor Hockey, would you like to speak to the motion?
Only to the point of commending the good folk who have had this tree elevated in its status and the successful recognition of it and the officers' work to bring this planning change forward. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much. Councillor Hewitt, would you like to speak for the motion?
No, only to say that, like Councillor Hockey, I support the motion, commend the community for their attention to the local vegetation, and support it, and also make the comment, which is not relevant to me speaking to this, but I'm going to have to leave the meeting in about 5 or 10 minutes.
And look, thank you for letting us know, Councillor Hewitt, and thank you very, very much for taking the time out we're expecting to see you with a cocktail glass, but anyway. Thank you. Councillors, any questions on this? No? Anyone would like to speak for or against the motion? No?
I'll briefly speak.
Sorry, speak for, yep.
Like others, I commend the community for raising the profile of this the tree and the work they've done in opposition to the poor community engagement that's happened around the WRL process, and that there's significant social and mental health issues that unfolded as part of that project.
Thank you very much. Anyone else like to speak for him?
Or just, if I can just say something briefly, well, in social media and the broader media, this particular tree is quite famous now because it's been recognised by the National Trust as a 2025 Victorian Tree of the Year, and that was by a popular vote, and that reinforces its social significance. So this tree, well, we have a very famous tree in Hepburn Shire. It's very special, especially to the residents around there. And I'm happy to see the amendment in point 3, because I need to let the community know that the same person deciding on the amendment is the one that decides on the link as well. So there you go.
Thank you.
We needed to separate it out.
Thank you very much. All right, so before we put the floor has Hockey, anything you'd like to sum up with?
No, nothing more to add, thanks.
Thank you. All right, well, with that, I'll put the motion to the floor. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you, councillors. Appreciate that. And I would like to add my thanks to the community who have put in hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of hours and are incredibly passionate. And there is no question the quality of the work that they have done in space. So I just want to thank them for that. Okay. 7.6, awarding of a contract for recycling processing. Councillor Cornish, would you like to introduce the topic, please?
Oh, thank you. This is 7.6, did you say?
Yes, 7.6 recycling.
The report seeks council to award contract HEPBU.RFT.2026.RR01 for curbside recycling processing. A public tender process was undertaken in February and March 2026, resulting in 4 submissions being received. Following a detailed evaluation, it's recommended the contract be awarded to Cleanaway for a 2-year term. This time frame aligns with the current curbside collection contract and provides flexibility for the state government to finalise its proposed recycling service standards.
Thank you very much, councillors. So do we have a recommendation, officer's recommendation in front? So we'd like to put forward that submission.
I'll put that forward.
Thank you, councillor Cornish. Would you like to second that?
Yes, I'm happy to.
Thank you. Councillor Cornish, would you like to speak to the motion?
Oh, there's not much to say. It's more procedural. This is more for councillors to accept the tender. It's been assessed according to criteria.
Yep.
And the recommendation is as written in the report, which is also offered to the public, so it's no different. So there's 4 dot points there. So I don't have anything else to say.
Councillor Hockey?
No, I have not.
All right. So as per previous, I'll open it up for any questions, clarification, and then offer the opportunity to speak to it. Any questions? Clarifications? No, would anyone like to speak for or against the motion? No, councillor Cushing, would you like to?
No.
No, okay. Well, with that, I will put the motion to the floor. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you all councillors. That's great. So we'll go to 7.7. This is the Daylesford Town Hall Municipal Officers. Councillor Hockey, would you like to introduce the bill, please? Sorry. As we rocket through them.
Paper. Yes, so a request for tenders to deliver council and community spaces within the front section of the Daylesford Town Hall has been conducted. A preferred submitter has been identified by an evaluation panel. Submitters were requested to provide fees to deliver the current phase, that was design and development, of the project in the subsequent phases of tender documentation and construction support. However, this report only considers the appointment of the preferred submitter for the design development phase. Future project phases will be the subject of future council decisions. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much. And we have a officer's recommendation in front of us. Councillors, would anyone like to put forward that as a motion or an alternate motion?
Happy to do so, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Hockey. And would like to second that.
Councillor Hewitt.
Councillor Hewitt. Oh, you're still there, councillor Hewitt. That's fantastic. Thank you for staying.
Just for
Okay.
this item there.
No worries, that we do appreciate your time. It is precious. All right, so we'll just go, councillor, would you like to speak to the motion?
Only to commend the organisation for continuing to deliver despite our constraints. So this is terrific to see this starting to inch forward. So thank you to the crew. Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you, councillor Hewitt. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Only to say I do support the motion. It is only for the design and development stage of the front half of the town hall, the actual civic part of the building, not the auditorium. And I think that it's important to keep faith with the community. It's an important building. It does need renewal. It's an important asset, but to make clear that this is, as Councillor Hockey said in his statement, introduction, that it is for the design and development phase. And of course, without that, there's no possibility of obtaining any or utilising any or making application with any grant or funding opportunities that come up. It does reflect that the importance of this building to the community, and it does acknowledge the importance, and again take the opportunity to thank those people that were involved in the PAG who helped get it to this stage, and the officers, particularly Lizzie Aiken and Ben Grounds, who worked on this to get this far. Yeah, and it is included in the budget. It's not new funding. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much, councillor Hewitt. All right, as before, we'll ask for any questions or clarification, and then we'll also speak. So any questions or clarifications, councillors?
Yep.
Councillor Cornish, question? Yeah.
The approved budget is 220,000, I can see here. In dot point 3, it states approves council officers to make variations and additions to the contract in excess of the awarded lump sum contract value within approved officer delegations and approved budgets. What does approved budgets mean?
Through the chair, I'll take that question. So it's within the approved project budget allocations, and for this project, councillors might recall, I think it was the December 2025 council meeting where you endorsed the scope of this project. You also endorsed a $270,000 budget allocation for the project, and that is made up of $220,000 for the front part of the facility, which is what you are considering tonight, and there is a further $50,000 allocated for the design work associated with the upgrade of the auditorium.
Just prefer that instead of delegation and approved budgets, I'd prefer to see approved officer delegations and approved budget allocation, because budgets, it just doesn't sound right to me.
So again, I'm just.
Um,
we go on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
approved budget allocation is clearer to me.
so are you proposing an amendment?
Yeah, I am.
All right, so councillor Hockey, would you happy to,
You with that?
councillor Hewitt, you happy to accept that amendment? Yes,
Yes.
yes, that's what, thank you. Okay, so we'll adopt that amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So my interpretation of what you've just outlined, given the budget was 220 plus 250, 70. If it varies anything over 220, you'll have to come back to council. Correct. Thank you.
I prefer that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other questions, councillors? No? Would anyone else like to speak in favour or against the motion?
Councillor Drolly may have just before me, if you'd like.
I'm happy to speak to it.
You like to speak to it, issue?
Yeah.
As others mentioned, it's a really important project, given it a really significant asset for council and for community, and it's obviously there's a lot of work ahead to get progress on this, but I think just wanted to note the important parallel process of including sustainability upgrades in this design work, and the acknowledgement that our assets need to go integrally through a process of thoughtful consideration around long-term sustainability, getting off gases, and that one of our indicators potentially is getting off gas measurable amounts in council operations, and it's I think that we'll see the economic benefits of that once there's an integrated sustainability plan for this building.
Thank you very much, councillor Drolly. Anyone else like to speak for or against? Councillor Hood.
Yep, thanks, Mayor. I too acknowledge the importance of this asset, Daylesford Town Hall, the importance of this heritage building, and the need for works to restore it to its former glory. But as I stated at the December meeting, my concern is that the schematic designs as presented at December do not have overwhelming support or support in sufficient numbers from the broader community.
Okay, thank you, councillor Hood. All right, with that, I will, councillor Hockey,
No, nothing to add, Mayor.
nothing to add. All right, well, with that, councillors, I will put the motion to the floor. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Councillor Dryley, Hockey, Cornish and Clark.
All those against?
No one against, with councillor Hood abstaining.
So, okay, just confirming, councillor, you abstained?
Yes.
Yes, great, thank you.
And councillor Hewitt has dropped off.
Dropped off. Okay, we'll just note that. Okay, we'll declare that carried.
Actually, she is in the waiting room. We might be getting her.
Is she back in? If we can record that as a vote.
Councillor Hewitt, are you there?
Not to you.
Is you there, councillor Hewitt?
Here, I dropped out for a minute.
No,
Yes, I'm voting.
For?
I think you said someone voting in favour of it.
Yes, are you voting for or raise your hand if you're voting for?
For.
Okay,
Can't see her hand.
we'll say you're for. Okay, thank you very much.
Councillors for, except for councillor Hood who abstained.
And to abstain. Okay, so declare that carried. So passed five in favour, one abstained. No worries. Thank you very much. And thank you, councillor Hewitt. We wish you all the very best for your journeys.
Over there.
Thank you. I'll see you next week, Mayor and colleagues.
Looking forward to hearing all about it.
Bye.
Thank you very much. Okay, so item 7.8, and this is awarding of a tender for Cambridge Street improvements in Creswick. Councillor Drolly, would you like to introduce the?
Sure. The 2025-26 Capital Works program includes the delivery of a range of improvements at Cambridge Street, Creswick, jointly funded by Council, the Victorian Government Safer Local Roads and Streets program. The project includes upgrades to pedestrian connections, formalised parking arrangements, stormwater improvements and landscaping within the precinct. The public tender process was undertaken in April 26 with submissions evaluated against the criteria. It's now recommended that Council award the contract to the preferred tenderer. The opposite recommendation is that Council enters into a contract of Cambridge Street and Victoria Street's improvements, Creswick with Butler excavations, Pty Ltd for $523,810 exclusive of GST. 2, delegates the Chief Executive Officer to sign the contract documents on behalf of Council. 3, authorises officers to manage and authorise contract variations in line with project budgets, officer delegations and Council's procurement policy. And 4, resolves that the tender evaluation report as attached remains confidential and that the minutes record the successful tenderer and accepted tender price.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Would anyone like to, and thank you for reading that recommendation. We have an officer's recommendation in front of us. Would anyone like to put that forward or an alternative motion? As a motion or an alternative motion?
I'll move it.
You'll move it as written?
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Councillor Drolly. Anyone like to second that?
Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Cornish. Councillor Drolly, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just briefly, Mayor, I think that it's a worthwhile project and a significant improvement for the amenity and functionality of our Creswick Township, and it's it would be nice to be able to do several of these projects, given the need in our communities, and it's really good. This has progressed, and particularly just noting some of the pedestrian improvements and the Wombat crossing across Victoria Street, and that the long-term sort of integration with our structure planning work too.
Fantastic, thank you. Councillor Cornish, would you like to speak?
I'll just support Councillor Drolling what he just stated there. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, councillors, I'll open any clarification or questions? No. All right. Would anyone else like to speak for or against the motion? No. All right then. Any other comments, Councillor Drolling, before we put it to the floor?
No.
No, thank you. Okay, councillors, will all those in favour raise your hand.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you, councillors. Appreciate it. And thank you for the work, Mr. Lucas, and for the lace as well. All right, now we move to administrative item 7.9, which is really administrative. It's just really acknowledging the attendance from December 2025 to April 2026 of councillors to our various items. I'll take the recommendation as the motion. Would you like to put that motion forward?
Yes, yep, certainly.
Yep. Anyone like to second that?
Hood.
Thank you, Councillor Hood. Like to speak to that?
No.
Councillor Hood? I assume fine. No. Any questions? I'll assume.
Just a clarification, Mayor. I did note, and I meant to mention this before, that a number of the later meetings don't record a tick against attendance, but I think it's assumed.
Yeah, respond to that. Talk about a visual tick.
We will double check the ones towards the end, but yeah, the idea would be that they should have a tick against individuals or some comment of who isn't. So
yeah,
double check the accuracy of those.
Okay, all right then. Put that motion to the floor. All those in favour, raise your hand.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you, all councillors. Item number 8, items of urgent business. Just to note, there are none. So now we'll move to item 9, which is the CEO, the councillor and CEO reports. So I'll do 9.1, which is the report from the mayor. And look, so and just to commence, the month of May, it has been a very, very busy. Sorry,
I just said, poof.
Oh yeah, that's right. Very, I thought I might be tipping under the table. Been a very busy and full months, and it started off. I was very fortunate to be able to come and speak with and meet the staff at one of the forums, which I thought was really good. And just really good to see the vibe in the space, and I think that was great. But we also had the great Trentham Spudfest, and I think it is just a testament to the volunteers and the local community, how it is going from strength to strength every year, and how it's just such an amazing showcase in terms of local produce, crafts, and I think just by virtue of the fact of how it's actually expanding in terms of its reputation and the broader people it's attracting, I think is great. We also had Volunteer Week, National Volunteer Week. And that was, started off wonderful. Again, Trentham is the place to be, obviously. We had a wonderful high tea, put the Windsor to shame, I have to say. We had over 80 people there, and there was just a wonderful vibe in the room. And it was great just to bring so many people together to celebrate, really, and acknowledge the great work of volunteers, because in my view, volunteers are the glue that hold our community together and also feed our soul and spirit. I think it was just wonderful we were able to do that. We also enjoyed the Civic Awards. And I really want to acknowledge Mr. Frank Page, who's now our Citizen of the Year award, Radical Fields as the event of the year, and the biggest morning tea for Hepburn Together. And I think not only want to acknowledge those three particularly, but I just want to acknowledge everyone who was nominated. They did an amazing and do an amazing job, and I really want to acknowledge the amazing work that they do. But I think, obviously when we do awards, got to be one, but it really does showcase just the depth that we have in our shire, which I think is wonderful. And I think also, I just also want to acknowledge again, the Trentham Rail and Tramway Association. They had a wonderful, which Councillor Hood, Hockey and myself attended, I think it was last week, to acknowledge that the mural has been developed, the refurbishment of the goods shed, and of course their inclusive garden. And I think, a small group of people, how they bring people together to do over the last 3 years what's been a phenomenal job to add long-term value to Trentham. And I think, it's just been great. In terms of advocacy, I just want to touch on that. And I think, as we all talked about during the budget, the draft budget item, advocacy is going to be such an important part. So I want to just acknowledge the fact we've been working with our surrounding councils through the Greater Ballarat and the Greater Ballarat Alliance of Councils, where we launched. We had a launch just yesterday, where we launched the platform, and that platform really evolves around securing economic security. We've recalled for funding for roads and bridges, digital infrastructure, public transport, and a whole lot of other initiatives which really do speak to the viability and that whole very strategic piece which we here at Hepburn are so familiar with. We've also met with it was great to be there with the councillors Dryly and Hockey at the Loddon Campaspe group of councils, where we not only talked about what was happening across a whole area around, particularly around water and water security, but the initiatives that come out of the state budget. I got whacked about 30 seconds. And of course the World Heritage listing. And finally, the budget. I just want to thank all the hard work over the last couple of months for all councillors and officers for the budget, and I'm really looking forward to the next coming month or so where we talk to our community about. Thank you very much all. All right, we'll move to 9.2 councillor reports. Councillor Dryly.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll table this report. I may not get through it all. Today is National Sorry Day, a day to remember the stolen generations and to reflect on the continuing impact of government decisions that removed Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander children from family, community, culture and country. It's also a reminder that decisions governments make matter deeply. They shape people's lives for generations, for better or worse. And as we've considered our council budget tonight, I think it's a responsibility worth holding close. Budgets are not just spreadsheets, they're statements about what we value, what risk we are prepared to face and who we expect to carry the burden. And over the recent weeks, I've been reflecting on that through a number of local, regional, national and international events. I was very pleased too to partly attend the Volunteer Week High Tea at Doug Lindsay Reserve in Creswick, celebrating the contribution of volunteers, as the Mayor's mentioned, across our community. It was a warm and generous event. But that generosity should never be a substitute for properly funded services, and volunteers strengthen our communities, but they should not be expected to fill every gap left by stretched systems. And I too attended the Loddon Campaspe group of meetings in Bendigo, where regional priorities around resource readiness, renewable energy planning, water infrastructure and regional development were discussed. And those conversations sit within a much larger picture. Across our region, councils are being asked to help deliver housing, energy transition, climate adaptation, transport improvements and economic development. The issue is not whether councils support these goals. Of course we do, but we want more affordable housing. We want stronger regional transport. We want climate action, safer roads, better community infrastructure, renewable energy done well, and communities that can withstand more frequent fires, floods, storms and heat waves. The issue is that local government is increasingly being asked to deliver state and national ambitions with a shrinking local toolbox. As we've seen with regional priority documents we've been considering, housing is a good example. Councils can plan, advocate and partner and help unlock land, but we cannot carry the full cost of enabling infrastructure, planning capacity, drainage, roads, community facilities and services alone. If state and federal governments want housing delivered at scale in regional communities, that ambition must be matched with sustained investment. And the same is true for climate adaptation. Recent reports, including the Creswick Flood Mitigation Report, have clearly made clear the key infrastructure across Victoria is increasingly vulnerable to climate impacts. For council, that's not an abstract environmental issue. It means roads, bridges, trees, drains, halls and emergency response, recovery, community health and long-term financial sustainability. At a national level, both the state and federal budgets included important investments, but they still do not resolve the structural underfunding of local government. Too often councils are left chasing short-term competitive grants while they carry everyday costs of maintaining assets. Internationally, we're also seeing the consequences of governments failing, including our own, to protect human rights, peace and climate security. The detention and torture of Australian citizens from the Gaza flotilla and the continuing violence in Gaza are distressing reminders that public institutions must be guided by human dignity and accountability.
Time, Councillor.
I'll leave it there.
Thank you so much for your report. Councillor Pat Hockey.
Thank you, Mayor. Look, I'm happy to table my report as it appears in the agenda. I just note that it was wonderful last week to be with Catherine King, our local member for Ballarat. 3 times she came out and it was particularly nice on the last occasion at the high tea. She was able to just sit and enjoy cakes and coffee. She didn't need to speak, so that was really nice.
Right.
Thanks, Mayor.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hockey. Councillor Hood.
Thank you, Tony. I'll briefly mention 2 local events, which have already been mentioned tonight, but I think it's very important to acknowledge the Army of Volunteers and the organising committee who put on a wonderful Spudfest function event over the weekend in early May. There was over 20,000 visitors, which was an enormous number. It was a huge success. Notwithstanding the name, it's much more than about potatoes. It's about the whole town and its culture and heritage, and the organising team do a wonderful job. It attracts visitors from all over, including interstate, and it was a tremendous success and very well supported by a number of council officers who assist in the process. And also I'll mention Trata. Many people may not realise that Trentham once had trams as well as trains. Got to shift the spuds somehow. And again, we have a wonderful group of volunteers who have reinvigorated the whole precinct down at the Historic Heritage Railway Precinct with a whole range of works there. They've been very active, very busy. They have secured a number of grants from various entities, including council and other levels of government, and have done a wonderful job to that precinct in town, which also contributes to Spudfest, but much more broadly. So I'd like to congratulate the volunteers and community members who support those 2 really important events. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hood. Councillor Cornish.
Thank you. Look, last week was National Volunteer Week and I attended with yourself, Mayor, the high tea in Trentham and also the high tea in Creswick. I'd like to acknowledge the incredible contribution volunteers make across Hepburn-Shire during National Volunteer Week and recognise the important role community events and facilities play in bringing people together. Events such also the Great Trentham Spudfest, both the Mayor and I attended, the Spudfest and Councillor Hockey. I'm not sure.
Yes.
And certainly Councillor Hood was there as well. That was a great event. It was my first Spudfest and I was so impressed with it. Even the competition of judging the best potato or naming the potatoes. I think there were about 20 or 30 different varieties. I just didn't think there was so much available. That was quite a challenge. Anyway, it was a great, great event, and Mr. Potato Man as well. I've got some pictures with him. It was very good. There was a lot of people that arrived as the Mayor and I were leaving around 12 midday. There were thousands of people that attended this over the weekend, Spudfest. And it also has a very strong community spirit. The events would simply not happen without the dedication of volunteers. And I understand over 100 volunteers for Spudfest alone and all of our signature events. There is at least 100 volunteers for each of those. And without our volunteers, we just wouldn't have the support or deliver successful festivals that attract visitors from all around. And of course, the visitors bring in a bit of the cash for our Hepburn Shire as well, for our businesses and support orders. And it strengthens our local economy. So again, a very big thank you. I also attended, just very quickly, the flag raising for Ida Hobbit Day, which was a couple of weeks ago, with Cerise Howard, our CEO. Bradley was there as well, and staff. Now, Ida Hobbit is, we raised a rainbow flag to mark an International Day against LGBTQIA+ discrimination. And the anniversary of Ida Hobbit is on May the 17th, and it was in 1990 that it started. And around that time, that was when the World Health Organization removed homosexuality from the classification of diseases. So it's really not that long ago. We've still got a bit of a way to go, and many people acknowledge that day worldwide. Just a little bit about Cerise Howard. I'll finish. Yeah, I'll finish. Cerise did help on the day she came up. She's now going to be living in Dalesford, I understand. And she helped me raise the flag for Ida Hobbit Day. She's a studio leader at RMIT University, specialising in incubating media festivals, interrogating the shortcomings of the canon. Her commentary on film can be found across a wide array of outlets, variously in print, online, for example, senses of cinema, or integrated within home theatrical releases. She talks, one line left, if that's okay.
Yes, I've got
she talks film on Melbourne radio station 3RRR and plays a mean bass guitar for Age of Monotremes and Queen Kong and the Homo sapiens.
Thank you very much, Councillor Cornish. Okay, so councillors, we have a recommendation. The council receives a note of the Mayor and Councillor's report. We'd like to put that motion forward.
Yes, please.
Thank you. Councillor Hopkins, second Councillor Cornish. All those in favour?
Yes.
Passed unanimously.
Thank you all, councillors. We'll go to 9.3, Chief Executive Officer's report. Mr. Thomas.
Thank you, Mayor. Report in the agenda. A couple of things just like to highlight. Really interesting to sit back and listen to Councillor report of how varied the local government sector is. It's how much happens in a month, from all the different events to the advocacy and all the work that happens. So really pleasing. We'll pass a number of those comments on to staff. I do want to thank councillors, and remiss of me not to thank staff. There has been a heck of a lot of work that has gone into the development of the budget, which council obviously endorsed the draft budget tonight, being touched on in terms of putting together a really important document that continues our financial journey. Is not easy in the situations. But the work that has gone on within the organisation, not just in the financial services team, but I must make a massive thanks to the financial services team who need to conduct normal business as usual while putting together a budget, but right across the organisation. It's been talked about in terms of significant FTE loss, but the budget process is bigger than it's ever been significant engagement, and really thank the councillors for the time and effort and gone there. We certainly are leading the sector in terms of our response to our financial challenges. We've got more to do and we'll continue to do that, but it's really pleasing to have that draft budget out, and I can't be prouder of us as an organisation to work through that, and really do thank councillors and staff for all the work that has gone into that. And as I said, there is lots going on in the local government sector, and certainly will be a really busy 6 months to pre a state government election. Lots of announcements, but lots of work for us to do to put the importance of investment not just into Hepburn Shire, but also the investment into the local government sector. There is the officer's recommendation in front of you that council receives and notes the Chief Executive Officer's report for May 2026.
Thank you. Anyone like to put that?
Yes, please.
Councillor Sarkey, seconded. Yes, Councillor Cornish, all those in favour?
Passed unanimously.
Thank you all, councillors. So with that, item 10, close the meeting on 26th of May at 7:49 p.m. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, community. Thank you for all those that are watching officers. I wish you all a safe trip home and good night, and looking forward to seeing you for a very busy June. Thank you all.
Thank you. I'll just close the meeting.